Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Gaming Pubcast. I am Martin, one of your hosts. I've got my fellow host here with me, Duncan. How are you?
Hello, all good, all good.
Good, yeah, first ever episode. Excited?
Exciting. Oh yes, very much.
Little bit of time to get to this point, don't Duncan? But well, I say that we haven't actually been planning it that long, considering all things.
I think we definitely are amateur gamers and amateur podcasters. That's
We
for sure.
most definitely are. I think people are going to sort of find that out over the next sort of over however many podcasts we decide to do. But we sort of met up, didn't we? I put out a post on Facebook in regards to does anyone want to join me on a gaming podcast? It was a group that we're both part of. You responded. A few others did as well, to be fair. But I think actually from chatting to you, it seemed like we had like a similar sort of vision of what we wanted to do with
And
the
we're
podcast.
both in the UK as well.
We did, yeah. All the others were Americans, which no, nothing against Americans, but well, one was actually in Japan, wasn't he? So there was like there was people who were like 8 hours ahead and others who were 8 hours behind. So it was quite hard to find like a happy medium. And but here we are.
Here we are, first episode.
Exactly, yeah. I'm excited to see what we can go. But probably should just introduce the podcast as it is the first ever episode. I was going to say for those who are listening for the first time, but that will literally be everyone, won't it? Unless we got like time travelers on our.
Including us.
Yeah, exactly. So introduce it for me and you, really. So as the name suggests, it is a gaming podcast. So it'll be all things gaming related, and that will include current gaming, so news, upcoming game releases, and also retro gaming. Both myself and Duncan, we are of an age, aren't we?
I am middle-aged. Let's just go straight to it. I'm middle-aged.
Didn't want to call you out on your age, Duncan, but you are a little bit older than me. But I'm still at an age, Duncan, where I've seen obviously a lot of
catching up.
I'm catching up. I don't think I'll ever catch you, though, Duncan.
Oh.
I think you'll always be
like that. No.
No, I think though look at it in a gaming wise, you're higher level than me.
Well, I mean, in terms of age or in terms of ownership?
It just, I mean, if you're a Pokemon, you would be like you'd be a Charizard.
Well, I mean, I started my gaming off in the 1980s.
Yeah.
My dad had a gaming console called the Interstate. It's basically a Pong machine, but it had like something like 8 different games, but it was just Pong in different forms. But it had a light gun, so it was just way ahead of its time. I think I read up somewhere it's from about 1974 or something, but I was still playing it in the 80s, and yes, that was my first gaming experience really. And arcades in the 80s and 90s were just amazing. You go in there with your 10 pences and you can end up spending, obviously back in those days, spending £2 was quite a lot of money. But you could spend hours in the arcades.
Bit like my only got arcades where I live, but not like proper gaming arcades like they back in the 80s. The only like sort of image I got is from like Stranger Things. So that's they're quite
it's very much like that.
Yeah.
And what's it called? Terminator 2, when they spend all their time in the arcades, and that's where they were hung out. And I mean the arcades I went to in my hometown were not particularly clean places.
Not like the movies.
There weren't artisan coffee shops or anything back in the 80s. They were dirty, they were smelly, they were full of teenage boys and probably dirty old men as well. But 4-player Turtles and 4-player Simpsons fighting games. Who doesn't want to do that? It's amazing.
And see, that's what started it for you, Duncan, because you're now here with me chatting to
and then
doing a weekly podcast.
Spectrum 48K as well. Did that a lot of gaming on that because it was meant to be a family computer, but think it slowly got put into my possession as an early teen. I played the rubber keyed Spectrum 48K, and then
I,
yeah, the rest is history.
that's his history. So, what would you say was your the first console that you had
Oh, my
where you
parents actually I didn't like gaming. I mean, they got the Spectrum 48K because it was meant to be a computer for computer things. But it wasn't really useful for anything but gaming, the Spectrum 48K. Obviously, there are people out there that probably disagree, but it was pretty much for gaming. So my first actual, I had a Game Boy. I've saved up money for
yeah,
that.
I too, I
But
think.
my first home console that I actually owned was the PlayStation 1.
Right, so
Um,
a bit of a gap
I had
then from like,
I had a PC. I had a PC early. Well, hang on. So what age? It would be mid 90s, mid to late 90s. I had a low power PC, but you didn't really need the high powered stuff back then. It either ran or it didn't, and that was
yeah,
all you had.
yeah. I'm just thinking sort of what game would have been on that one, like Doom or whatever, like that sort
Yeah,
of
you
like
had
era. Or,
Doom and then Unreal Tournament, that kind of thing.
yeah,
I remember playing um, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which was
so,
almost one of the first free to play online games because it was a add on for Return to Castle Wolfenstein that they just released for free as a standalone. Fantastic online game, but people playing either with very slow broadband or even dial up on 64 player servers. It was
yeah.
chaos, absolute chaos,
No,
brilliant chaos.
I can only imagine playing an online game, especially on dial-up. You couldn't even like download a picture on dial-up without it like taking about 5 minutes
Exactly.
to
You
that.
you could play online with dial up, but just yeah, it was temperamental.
Yeah, so for me, my first console, and actually it was earlier than yours, but I didn't have parents who were against gaming. So, but it was the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, depending on where you are
Yeah,
in the
good
world.
one.
And the main game that I sort of stands out for me is Streets of Rage. That's the game that I sort of remember most, even though obviously most people think of like Sonic because that's like the just the famous one. But it was
Yeah, sure.
yeah, Streets of Rage for me, just because it was obviously co-op as well, so you could play. I remember playing it with my well, I say my friends. I say friend. It was I had a specific friend I used to game with a lot back in that back at my when I was at primary school, and I think that would probably I would imagine was the first game I completed. But it was on a cartridge which had like 6 other games on it, so it had that. Also had
Oh
Golden
yes, I
Axe as
remember
well.
those.
So Golden Axe was also 2 player. It was quite similar to Streets of Rage, but it was a bit more like a fantasy game.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, yeah,
I've played Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I was the friend basically. That
yeah.
you had the friend that played. I was that friend with a friend of mine, where he had a Mega Drive, and I used to go around his and play. Yeah, we played Streets of Rage. Two was obviously the best. Two was the
Oh,
best.
yeah, I know people always, but for me, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too low, but because Streets of Rage 1 was the
Oh,
first,
Streets of Rage one was brilliant. It was
like the
brilliant,
one,
but
but like
two
the
just yeah. Mwah.
calling in the
Two
police
really good.
when they come in with their rocket launchers, wouldn't they, and like kill everyone off the just save it for the bosses at the end, though, didn't you? But
But
that was probably
it
like
come
my first time where like you would plan stuff. You'd be like, okay, we got this big fat guy who breathed out fire. What we need to do is when he's breathing, just get out of the way, and then when he's turn around, start punching him in the back. Don't try and lift him up because you can't do that. Which see in future games has come quite useful. The only one where you couldn't plan, I don't know how much you remember the game, but there was the 2 girls on the boat or the ship or whatever, and they were just so hard to hit. But other people who would have played it will
when you had the
know.
women with the whips.
Yeah, the women with the whips were yeah, they were in their latex, weren't they? Which
Yeah. It's definitely a product of its time, isn't it? Probably would.
yeah,
Well,
I think
there
the
was Streets of
music
Rage
is
4, wasn't there,
there
recently?
was yeah, I played
I,
that as well.
I, can't, I can't remember whether there was women with whips in that, but
I think there was,
yeah,
yeah.
it was great. I mean, the Mega Drive had so many good games. I was on because I had a friend that had a Mega Drive. I was definitely Team Sega
Yeah,
because it was the Sega versus Nintendo.
it
You
was.
had to
Yeah,
like one. You couldn't like both.
I know. I mean, like, I know there's some console wars nowadays between like PlayStation, Xbox users, but not in the same
Yeah,
comparison
that.
as like Sega and Nintendo people was quite they just
Oh yeah.
disliked each other, didn't they? You couldn't have
Looking back, it was fantastically stupid, but fantastically brilliant
but
at the same time.
also the Sega and Nintendo sort of, especially more Sega because they like sort of attacked Nintendo a lot of their sort of advertising campaigns, which they had to initially
What's
because
what Sega does, Nintendo don't.
yeah, I think that was the slogan. They would see, yeah, that was but yeah, I mean, that was my first experience. And nowadays, I'm on the PlayStation 5. I know you're on the Xbox, aren't you? So I think
On
you've got a
Steam
few.
Decks.
Yeah, you got Steam. So
I do. I own a Steam Deck as well because my PC that I invested a lot in, I think about 11 years ago, is quite obviously not very good anymore, especially since the GPU died. So yes, my Steam library was just stagnating, and yeah, I invested in a Steam Deck, and now it's I think doubled in size because that's what Steam does. They just,
you,
oh, I'll just buy that one more game and then not play it.
yeah, I did have
Look,
a gaming PC not so long ago. So yeah, I remember being on Steam, and there's
well,
end up
we're
getting.
recording this while the summer sale is on, so I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more Steam Deck owners, I think, because it's 20% off at the moment. Uh, but yeah, it's such a good piece of kit. Look, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely looked into getting one, but just timing in terms of like finances and stuff has prevented me from getting one at the moment. But you would definitely
it's
recommend.
good value for what it is, but it is still, hundreds of pounds.
Yeah,
I mean, I did get a little help with Microsoft Rewards. I
yeah,
saved up £110 worth of Microsoft Rewards and saved them for Currys, which for anyone not in the UK is like electrical store, and got Currys vouchers, which I bought Steam wallet for, and yeah, had £110 towards it for free, thanks to Microsoft.
thank you, Microsoft. Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
because we both got children, haven't we? So we're both dads. So something we've both sort of discussed sort of pre this podcast is that sort of finding that balance to be able to see be a dad, but also game. And I know we both have said about like nowadays when you go back to a game where you haven't played for a while, it's like hard to pick it up
Oh yeah.
initially, isn't it? And we've
Yeah, I mean,
sort of
I love The Witcher 3. I absolutely love it. And when I played it, I was single. Well, I wasn't single, but I had no kids or anything. Um, and yeah, it was a fantastic game. I absolutely loved every second of it. But now I've gone back to it and I'm like, which weapon is it I have to use with undead? Oh, how do I heal? Can I heal? I don't remember. Do I heal just by being out of fighting or ah, I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, and then after 20 minutes I give up because I don't remember how to play it and I'm not starting all the way through the beginning and go through the prologue.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like even on because like Witcher 3, as we see, quite a bit to it. But I had it on Ratchet and Clank, which you wouldn't think is a game where you need that much sort of thinking.
But
But
you get a lot of skills, don't you, in that?
yeah, you do, and you
Or
get your
powers.
different weapons and stuff like that, in which you can like power up and stuff like that. But there's a button where you it's L1, I remember now because but you like different rifts appear, and you can like sort of teleport or fast travel there. And I was on this rail thing, and there was this giant robot trying to kill me. And I had to teleport to another rift, and I was coming, and the rail thing was like it just going on its own. So you didn't actually, all you had to do is jump from rail to rail, whatever, and see avoid hitting into things. And there was one bit where I had to fast travel, and I just couldn't for the life of me. And I could see my like impending doom. And I was like pressing every button, and I was like, because it wasn't just that you got to like hold it as well, which so I was like pressing all the buttons, and then but there definitely needs to be something for like dads coming back to games where
It's like
they
Call,
haven't.
Call of Duty, isn't it? That kind of thing. Is when you play Call of Duty. I don't think either of us are particularly big Call of Duty players, but do you get it where you'll see somebody suddenly coming towards you, whether it's online or not, and you'll be like, and you'll melee,
Yeah,
you'll melee, and you'll throw a grenade, and then you'll be like, no, all I wanted to do was shoot, and I've done everything
just
but
start panicking, don't you? But yeah,
panic shooting. And you
no,
spray around the whole barn door, but then there's person sitting there like, I haven't been shot.
yeah. I mean,
But yeah, those games. What was another one that I tried to play recently? I think it was Red. Yeah, Red Dead. I tried to play on the Steam Deck, and again, I didn't know what I was doing because I downloaded a save because I've completed on Xbox, but on PC I barely played it, and I just couldn't be bothered to go through the prologue. So I found a save online that was, and it said just finish the prologue. I was like, great, start it up, and didn't know what the hell I was doing because I've played it since I got it when it came out on Xbox, and yeah, I think I've finished it in about 2 weeks, and I've maybe played it an extra 10 hours since,
yeah,
and so yeah, I couldn't remember that either.
yeah. There definitely needs to be like a welcome back mode on games, I reckon.
Yeah,
So
because of being a dad at the moment, mine's a bit older than yours, so I am actually getting to a stage where my youngest will play.
yeah,
But it's Minecraft. That's all he wants to play is Minecraft.
yeah. See,
Um, yeah,
sorry, no, no. I was just gonna say my daughter, she's 4, but she'll be 5 in September. So uh, I've tried to like introduce her to games. So I tried like Super Mario 64. So I got it on my Wii U, and she was just well, she couldn't even really. I was like, just move him around. She could do that, okay, but she couldn't do really anything else. So she couldn't like open doors, or whatever like that. But I was like, well, that's a start. And what she enjoyed the most was creating people on like
yeah.
create your
I
own
found
meads and stuff.
with my boy, it was very frustrating when they. I mean, we started off the first game he properly played was Paw Patrol, the first Paw Patrol game,
Oh yeah,
and that was a very simple 2D scrolling platformer. Um, and you couldn't die in it. It was very basic jump, and that was it. Occasionally, you had to use a skill with a button, and at first he could barely get that, and then suddenly one day I
but
booted it up and he got it. And then he's got an older brother who is quite capable of playing all games, and he kept trying to teach him how to do quite complex things on Minecraft. And I kept saying, he can't even control the camera. And eventually, one day I was just like, oh, we're going to play Minecraft, but you can't control the camera. And he was like, what? And my 5-year-old just went, dig, 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 look, I'm doing this and I'm building that. And I'm like, what? So somewhere they will find a way of learning how to do it, or their brain will just click, and you'll find a little one, whether it's Mario, whether it's Minecraft or whatever, they'll get it.
yeah, because I saw they got My Friend Pepper on PlayStation Plus. I think it's on Game Pass as well. I was like thinking about that. I was like, that might be a good game to because she loves Peppa Pig. So I think you create
Oh
your own Peppa Pig character and you're sort of part of the episode
yeah,
by
so
the
me,
looks of it.
me and my boy finished that one because that's quite an easy 1,000 score, so like a platinum on the PS5. Um, and yeah, so I abused it
Well, at
in
least you
terms of
got something out of it then. So you've got your
1,000 points.
trophies or whatever. So
Well, I mean, speaking
think
of 1,000 points, I mean, I got one of them today. Actually, I don't get them very often. McPixel. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't. No, you have to.
No, it's just come on Game Pass. It's been on PC. Well, it's been on Game. Xbox for a while, but it's I think it might be on PlayStation as well now. But it's a really crazy, absurd humor, point and click, but it's very low pixel graphics. Um, it's almost sort of Commodore 64 style. But the humor is almost Monty Python, South Park kind of humor. And anyway, it's hilariously funny. I mean, it includes things like, the main character wins an award and sticks the award up his bum, kind of thing. So it's not really, it's not too graphic, but it does involve a lot of kicking people up the backside and in the groin and peeing on a lot of people. One of the achievements is to pee on a dog. So
it's a good achievement.
yeah, so it's my son watched it, a bit of me playing it, and I felt a bit awkward, but I didn't feel like I was going to be reported to social services.
Not like
But anyway, yeah, I finished the 1,000 points today, so I found all the gags because basically it's you'll get a scene, you've got to click on a few things in order to get to save your character, and if you don't click on the right things, you normally something funny happens, and if you find all the jokes, you 100% that level. And there's about probably, I think there's 16 levels, each with an average of about 7 or 8 scenes in each one. So there's quite a lot of gags because each scene has probably about 10 gags in it.
Have a look into that.
So yeah, it's very good. I think it's very cheap on PC and Xbox, so it probably is on PlayStation. Fantastic game though, hilarious. If you like that kind of humour, if you don't, you'll probably just get bored of it very quickly.
Well, weeing on a dog sounds pretty good, to be fair, Duncan. So I'm sure I'll give it a go.
Is it like thing that people say they want to? They love games where they can pat the dog. And this one, the achievement says you can pee star 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 on the dog. So it's basically taking the mick out of the people who like to. There's lots of tongue in cheek.
People do like doing that on games. Like
But I got the 1,000 game score, even though there's no actual online guides. You can go to True Achievements or
just
True Trophies
guide you
or
through it all.
Trophies, and it can tell you how to get all the achievements and whatnot. This one is because there's about 100 achievements, and there's probably only guides for maybe 30 of them that are all pretty easy to get. So I did think about writing a few, but couldn't be bothered.
So like I don't know if you saw which kind of sort of brings us on to new. I wouldn't class this as news though, but like Baldur's Gate 3 coming out in September. And their trailer got banned, or one of their trailers got banned from TikTok because it's in the. I think it is a little bit tongue in cheek, but like I think it's a druid who can turn into like different, and like they can be a bear or a wolf or whatever, and they're in their bear form, and they start making love with a human in the fit, and they've made it like you don't actually see it happening, but obviously you know what's happening.
Does it go into the woods and defecate as well?
No, so that bear doesn't in the woods, but yeah, you see them approaching, and it like has a little cutscene to a squirrel in a tree, and the squirrel's obviously doing the face as
So with all the rubbish that's on TikTok,
and
they've banned that.
Yeah. So I watched it. It wasn't
graphic, or I haven't seen it, so
it will definitely wasn't that graphic, no. But obviously, the insinuation of a human sleeping with a bear obviously was too much for TikTok on that one.
I mean, it's not exactly a legal thing, is it?
No,
you can't say it's two consenting animals.
But I think one of them was somebody turned into a bear, so I don't know how that would work in terms of illegal. So, in regards to new
reality, if they're actually a human, Hmm.
I'd say not.
So,
I reckon they've got a
yeah,
case if they took
yeah.
that went to court. But so just see, moving on. I think we've introduced ourselves there, Duncan, a little bit in terms of our see gaming, what we're doing now currently. But don't know if you have any thoughts on, or if you keep up to tracks with any of the gaming news. I don't. There is like one gaming bit of gaming news which seems to be like dominating everything at the
Oh,
moment in regards
the big one, isn't there?
the
There's
big
one
one. Yeah, so Xbox, Microsoft's
$69 billion.
ongoing Activision saga. Obviously, you do own an Xbox. I own a PlayStation, so I don't know if we're going to have different opinions on this at all. Duncan, I don't really have much of an opinion. I will be, even though I brought it onto that subject, but see, it is quite a big story. So I don't know. As an Xbox user, Don, do you feel?
As, yeah,
Do you
as an
think
Xbox
like I'm
end
gonna
user
get this? I'm gonna get really a lot
and a
out of
Game
this,
Pass,
or
well,
yeah,
and I'm a Game Pass subscriber as well. Um, yeah, I mean, it's gonna benefit me in the long run because if it goes through in the end after appeals and all this, because obviously it has been rejected by the CMA in this country and currently in court. I think they've lost the first round, haven't they, in
I think
the
Canada
States
wasn't it, and then yeah, it was
with
in
the
America.
FTC.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it will benefit me because I will, if it goes through, I will get access to all the Call of Duty games. Um, in terms of will they uh, carry up with their pledge to keep it on multi-platform, I think you can't compare Bethesda and Call of Duty because they're very different things, really. Yes, okay. Well, basically, Starfield, it's sales and Game
yeah,
Pass. That's all they're going to get. Um, there is going to be DLC and whatnot, and they're going to sell a lot of it on PC as well. There's a lot of people going to be actually buy it. Call of Duty, especially Warzone, obviously, is simply your loot boxes or your skins and your whatnot. So you can't keep it to one platform.
no,
They want it to be on as many platforms as
they want it
possible.
on the Switch, don't they? Which I don't think it is at the moment. So they want to
Yeah,
introduce it to more platforms, but
they have said it about that. But yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be a streaming thing, like with what was it, The Witcher? I think is it they stream some of it. I think there's a couple of games on Switch where you have to be connected and it streams some of the graphics or the whatever.
because just of
Um,
the power.
but yeah, I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, people are like, "Oh, Microsoft are this. They're just trying to buy everything." Yeah, yeah, yes, they are. They're a massive company. They're one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Um, you know, but
Yeah, I mean,
as an end user, yeah, it's going to benefit me. And there are going to be some games from Activision, Blizzard, whatnot, that
yeah,
might be um, not on PlayStation, not on the Switch, not on mobile or whatever. So
my opinion on it as a PlayStation user is that I don't like you. I don't think they're going to make Call of Duty exclusive because they're going to take away at this moment in time PlayStation, which is their biggest market, away from that. I think there's going to be obviously Xbox aren't going to buy it if there's going to be no benefit to them. It's a lot of money. So, but I think it is going to be mainly beneficial for Xbox users rather than detrimental to PlayStation users. So I think we'll still get the same games, but you just might get new games like that they haven't yet. So not like new Call of Duties, but like whole new games that they haven't even been released yet. Maybe it'll be available on Game Pass. I imagine that probably will be the case, which ain't going to be a negative to PlayStation users because we're still having to pay for Call of Duty regardless. It's not like you'll just and I think maybe you'll get like exclusive content that PlayStation users may not get. Like I don't know,
but
but that
that's
probably
what
like
PlayStation
materialistic.
users have had for the last probably
Yeah,
five
exactly.
iterations,
Exactly. There
which
are.
Sony have paid for. So is it good having the exclusive things? At the end of the day, most of the time, 2 days early access or an extra skin
Yeah,
or an extra gun access in Warzone or something. So, all
yeah. I
right.
don't think. I mean, obviously, that it's not just like World of Warcraft. Let's see, could that
Yeah.
potentially become on a
Well, I
console,
mean,
which would be quite
yeah,
interesting if that
exactly.
was
So
the
you
case.
could have things that actually come to more platforms than they are
More
already.
users, yeah, because obviously that is
Um,
just PC, isn't it, at the moment? But
yeah, but I can't help but think though that the World of Warcraft is, although it probably still, I'm probably out of touch in terms of it still probably makes an absolute fortune.
on their
But
monthly
I can
subscription, yeah.
imagine that's a diminishing amount. I think they've
Yeah,
slowly
I mean, it
been
doesn't seem to be as
mm,
popular
nowhere
as it
near as
once
popular as it
was.
was.
Where everyone seems to have had it at one point in there. But
So maybe
yeah,
bringing it to console would be a good thing.
it's
Yeah,
going to open up more potential users. Well, it will open up. I say potential, but yeah, I think like in terms of PlayStation, and I think it will definitely happen. I know there's a well, I mean, it seems like they're getting a lot of pushback at the moment, but I think eventually it will go through. Obviously, I'm not an expert on it. I'm not pretending to be, but I can't see because PlayStation do have quite a large proportion. If it was the other way around, I could see where there would be concerns because you're going to make someone who was already a leader even potentially more dominant. But I just think it'll make it seem more close and to see better
yeah,
competition, which might end up meaning that PlayStation think, well, we're going to have to step up our exclusives and do more of them and do more quality. So actually, it might benefit the PlayStation users.
well,
I'll say,
if the past is anything to go by, you've got Halo, which was made by Bungie,
yeah, now
and
PlayStation, aren't they?
eventually Bungie went,
The
we don't
Sony,
like
yeah,
where this is going. We're going to go our separate ways from Microsoft. Microsoft went, it was amicable, but that happened. They made they made Destiny,
Destiny, yeah,
and now they're owned by PlayStation.
they are, yeah,
So yeah, and they've kept that platform, you know, uh, all cross-platform still. So yeah, Microsoft have got to, have got to keep their promises in terms because obviously PlayStation will go, well, look what we've done with this, look what we've done with that. And you've got as well, but Microsoft have got things like Minecraft, Mojang, which they brought it to more platforms
yeah,
when they took it over. So uh, there are some things like Bethesda games where Starfield was meant to be multi-platform,
yeah.
um, and
And
whatnot.
obviously, so I heard that
And
Starfield was going to be a PlayStation exclusive before Sony, no, before Microsoft then bought, and then it's now ended up being a
I heard that
Xbox exclusive.
I heard that there was a rumor that Sony were trying to, so Microsoft bought Bethesda instead.
Yeah, that's a way of shutting that down, isn't it? But because they,
Yeah, yeah,
it's is that the Indiana Jones game? Is that going to be
yeah. That's been
that's
made by. Uh, oh, is that Bethesda?
I don't know. Or maybe I don't know. I know because it's
It's not
Xbox.
IO because IO Interactive are making a Bond game, aren't they? I don't know, but yeah, the Indiana Jones one. I can't remember if they actually said whether that was going to be console exclusive.
I think it is yeah, obviously it'll be on PC, won't it? But I think it is exclusive to Xbox. But I'm sure, Duncan, there'll be we will come back to that story. More news. There are like
Well,
other
it's
news,
been
but
going on for months and months and months, and it will still go on, and you're never going to make everybody happy.
no,
Because there'll be Xbox fanboys who will be like, "No, you're going to make everything exclusive." There'll be Sony fanboys who are like,
yeah,
"No, no, no." I mean, there was somebody who made, whether it's tongue in cheek or not, a what's called, wasn't it, a change.org petition about
yeah, and
about making Starfield a PS5 exclusive, and like you do know that it's owned by Microsoft now.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I've seen some of that, but yeah, there's some like interesting stuff that's coming out of like the actual court cases, but it is coming up near the end of the podcast, Duncan. I'm just
Blimey.
looking at the
We-
time on our non-Prime account, Zoom account, which I don't want it to cut off in the middle of our talking, but we've got about 2.5 minutes left. Just to
Oh dear.
pre-warn you, I know when you're having fun, time does actually fly. So, just a couple of things that I wanted to before we wrap up, Duncan. I know, and don't want to make you feel old here, but I have been looking at like on this day. So we are the 10th of July. I probably should say the day because I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get this podcast out. Hopefully tomorrow or even today, maybe. But
So
it's
what
as of
happens this day then? On the
but it's
10th?
so
What
10th
happened
of
on the
July.
10th?
So 10th of July, 30 years ago today, Street Fighter 2 came out on the
Oh
SNES
yeah, yeah.
and the Sega
I
Mega Drive
played that
actually. So
on the Mega Drive,
yeah,
because that
so
was a technological breakthrough. That was amazing that they got it on there,
I
and it
do
was
remember.
it was the Turbo edition as well.
It was the Turbo Edition. Yeah, so I remember Dawson and Sagat
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
Blanca or whatever. I like the
Back
one
in, my,
that
back
I
in the
don't know.
days when I had decent reactions.
You could the arcades, didn't you? Obviously on that game, but I think it's the one where you would like in the middle randomly you would go through the game and then you would ask you to smash up a car. I think that was
Yeah,
Street
yeah,
Fighter
yeah,
2,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Smash up the car. Yeah.
Which was like probably the most enjoyable bit. The game was really good, so I don't want to play down the game, but probably one of the most enjoyable bits of the game was smashing up a car. Yesterday, 9th of July, 21 years ago, Gran Turismo 3 came out, Duncan, on
Again,
the
as an
PlayStation 2.
adult, I bought the first one. I
So
was an
yeah,
adult.
just what when you got Gran Turismo 1.
Yeah, as an adult.
Not,
So
not,
Gran Turismo 3 was when I was an old adult.
but anyway, Duncan, we're less than 1 minute, so I'm going to try and wrap up. I feel like when you're on a Sonic game and it's on a time limit,
Yeah, so
you're about
I
to
think if
die.
people like what we've talked about, we've got plenty to talk about,
We
and as you
do.
can hear, we've got plenty of opinions.
Exactly. And we'll try and get more sort of debate in. But first episode we're introducing, aren't we? But we're gonna get like stuff on our socials, aren't we? So
Yep.
please follow that.
And
Comment on it as well. We're sure we'll get that to you. But
like and subscribe.
like and subscribe, yeah, exactly. But so after that abrupt end there from our non-prime Zoom account, I thought we've decided that we both better come on to do a bit more of a professional wrap up. So all I can say is
Professional.
it's as professional as it can be in for us. But I did want to at least say thank you to anyone who is listening to the podcast. Hopefully, it was somewhat enjoyable listening to me and Duncan chat about gaming. And if it is, then do obviously check out our socials, like and subscribe. I think we got that in, Duncan,
Yeah,
especially you, Duncan. You
we
got that in,
are.
didn't you?
We are currently on Twitter. We are currently on Instagram. We are currently on Facebook,
Yeah,
and we are currently on
Instagram.
YouTube.
I think you said Instagram. Yeah, and YouTube
Yeah.
as well. The only one we're not
So
really on is TikTok, isn't it? Which we're both
yeah,
way too old for that, aren't we?
yeah.
So,
I don't really get. I don't really get the TikToks.
no, I yeah, I
I'm,
see it.
I'm,
I know about it, but I've never been someone who's took that
I'm
on.
one of
But
those people who sees all the kids. They're all streaming to their TikTok, and I'm
yeah,
like,
doing their
"What are
TikTok
you
challenges or
doing?"
whatever they. But,
Yeah,
no, so just the old-fashioned social. Apart from like we not so old-fashioned that we're telling you to check MySpace out and Bebo or whatever like that, but
there you go.
just
Yeah.
the current one. So and yeah, and if you did enjoy it, make sure to listen. We're trying and get these out weekly. That's the plan, isn't it? So and we'll upload them on our socials. So do and I said about sort of commenting on our stuff because
Yeah, send us a message. You know,
join in on the
questions.
debate if you have an opinion on something we went through. Then
If you think we're talking absolute rubbish, feel free to let us know.
yeah,
We'll
we'll
probably ignore you, but we'll have a
might
good debate.
exactly. It's all about the debate in our podcast community. So No, that's all I got to say, Duncan. I don't know if you want to
Nope,
say anything
that's
before
all
we
good
leave.
for me.
All
All
right.
good
Well,
for me.
this time we are actually going to say goodbye until
Yes.
next week. Pleasure, Duncan. I enjoyed that. So I'll see
And
you
we'll
next week.
see you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.